Thanks for joining me. Let me get my mouth together. Thanks for joining me today, everybody. This is Each One Reach One. I appreciate your time. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with me right now. And I hope things are going very well for you. If they are not, put it in the hands of the Most High, man. Pray. Be a prayer warrior. Be about praying. Be consistent in prayer, right? As the scripture says, cease not. All right. Cease not from prayer. All right. The Most High doesn't mind you praying to him all the time. As a matter of fact, he tells us to give him no rest until he has accomplished those things which he promised. All right. And he wants us to rest in his promises and be comforted by his promises. So he stand by his promises because they are his word. All right. And his word is why we are here right now, because many people fail to give the Most High credit for being about his word, for being about his promises. He made promises to Israel. He made promises to all of Israel. All right. To the whole house of Israel, to all the 12 tribes, not just to Judah. All right. And so many people, especially Christians, they read the Bible and they read it from the standpoint of not understanding the history, right? They don't understand the Old Testament. They go right into studying or reading from the New Testament. And so they're kind of confused, kind of like coming into a movie. At the end of it, you don't really know what's going on with all the characters and so forth. So, you would have to rely on other people to fill you in and to help you understand what you're seeing, what you're reading, what you're hearing, what's going on right now. I don't get it. And when they themselves either don't get it or they have an agenda, right? A, a devilish, satanic agenda, that's all you're going to know. You're going to come away with that understanding and you're going to take them at their word because, hey, they know better than you, right? They sat through the whole movie. They were there from the beginning. They know better than you. So you're taking their word for it, right? Until, the movie comes out again later. And I'm speaking from the standpoint of you saw the movie in the theater, the movie comes out again later, or you go back to see it and you catch it from the beginning. And now you're seeing everything. But the problem is, you know what the problem is? You're seeing it again. Well, you're seeing the beginning for the first time, but you're seeing it through the lens of what the people told you it was about when you asked them what the movie was about prior to the point where you came into it. So now your your perception of what you're seeing is skewed. You're seeing what you're seeing and you're hearing what you're hearing, but yet you're still taking into account what they told you. Now, those that the Most High loves and that he gives wisdom to, who he wants to understand the truth, those people will see it and say, hey, whoa, wait a minute. Wait a minute now. This is different from what I was told. This is not what I was told. So I'm going to believe what the Bible says. I'm going to believe what the Most High says. And I'm not going to believe what these men told me, what these people told me. That's what you're supposed to do. All right. If you go into the scriptures and you read somewhere and you read something where John said something or Moses said something or Peter or Paul or anyone said something and that, whatever you were led to believe, right? Well, no matter what it was they said, whatever you came away with, if you go into somewhere else in the Bible and you see red letter and you see Christ, Yahawashi himself, speaking on that same subject, and he says something that is contrary or what sounds contrary to what, no, that is actually contrary to what you believe, so and so said, you got to disregard your belief, your understanding of what so and so said, and you have to give the credit and the credence to the higher authority. This is what you have to do. Well, Paul said, or I believe what Paul was saying was XYZ. But Yahawashi says right here, very plainly, he says. So what I understood Paul to be saying, it has to be wrong. It has to be a misunderstanding on my part. Either Paul was wrong or I was wrong, but Christ is definitely not wrong. And so I'm going to go with what he said. That's what you're supposed to do. But many people don't do that. And that brings us to the subject matter at hand. The subject of the Samaritan woman, the woman of Samaria, this story, all right? Many Christians will point to this story as proof, positive, that Christ, Yahawashi, he went to go gather the Gentiles, so this is why we are here. So let's get into it. John chapter 4, we're going to start at verse 1. Well, I'm sorry, I'm moving too fast. Let us first give all praise, honor, and glory to our Heavenly Father, Yahawah, in the name of our Heavenly King, Hamashiach Yahawashi, the righteous one. All right, our Savior and our Redeemer. When therefore the Lord knew how the Pharisees had heard that Yahawashi made and baptized more disciples than John, though Yahawashi himself baptized not, but his disciples, he left Judea and departed again into Galilee. And he must needs go through Samaria. He must needs. Why? Remember, if he came with a mission, he came with a purpose. He didn't just do anything for no reason. All of his steps, all of his words were all calculated. Why did he have a necessity of going through Samaria? What was the reason why he had to go to Samaria? This is what should be your question when you're reading. It says he must needs go through, which means he had to, right? Why did he have to? What was going on in Samaria? Why did he have to go there? Well, let's keep reading. Then cometh he to a city of Samaria, which is called Sychar, near to the parcel of ground that Jacob gave to his son Joseph. So this was territory of Israel, right? Right. But many don't understand this. They don't understand the history that most of Israel had been carried away from Samaria during the Assyrian captivity, but not 100% of the Israelites were removed. Some stayed, and some who were taken away later came back again. This is what they also don't understand. All right. So there were Israelites there because it was originally Israelite land. All right. Now, before getting into this, I asked the question, why did he have to go through it? And I answered it. But like I said, you always got to give credit to the highest authority on a matter. All right. So let's go to Matthew chapter 10, verse 6. That's where we want to go. See, Yahawashi gave his 12 disciples instructions for service. So part of his instructions for service that he gave them was go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any of the city of the Samaritans enter ye not. Now, he's letting them know this here. See, what you got to understand is how he works, right? He's doing two things here, right? One, he's planning on going there himself. That's why he's telling them, I don't want you to go there. I'm going to go there myself. All right. What I want you to do is I don't want you to go into the way of the Gentiles, meaning I don't want you to go to the Israelites that are that are not of the circumcision. I want you to go to the circumcision because the Most High does everything in order. He has an order to the way that he does things. All right. Now, the gospel will go to the Gentiles of the other nations. I'm sorry, not of the other nations, of the non-Judite tribes, the non-kingdom of Judah tribes is what I meant to say. So the northern kingdom tribes. All right, get my brain and my mouth to align really quickly. All right, so go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So he's letting you know that the Gentiles and the Samaritans that he was speaking of in the previous verse are not Israelites. He's telling them don't go into the way of the non-Israelite Gentiles and into any city of the non-Israelite Samaritans. enter ye not, because he's making a distinction between Israel and the other nations right here. Because even though they are lost, he's referring to them as Israel. He's separating the lost of Israel from the other nations. So he addressed it saying, I don't want you to go to all of the Gentiles. I don't want you to go into the city of all these Samaritans. I want you to go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So he was very specific. Okay. And this can be confusing to people if you don't know the history of Israel being split and you don't know the history of, the captivities, and that many of the circumcision went away from their God. They went away from the Most High, Yahawah and Yahawashi, right? And so they went after the idols and the gods of the other nations. So they were no longer considered Israel for a long time. They were considered Gentiles because they were pretty much one and the same. They shared Gentile customs and everything else. So in effect, they became Gentiles to the Most High. He quit claiming them. All right. This is what happened. Go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So that's their marching orders. All right. So then in Matthew chapter 15, verse 24, it says, but he answered and said, I am not sent. Who could send him, and who did send him? The Father sent him. What did he send him to do? He says, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So he's making it very clear. My Father didn't send me here into the earth to go to anyone but Israel. I'm not here to gather anyone but Israel. I'm not here to talk to anyone but Israel. I'm not here to save anyone but Israel. My Father sent me only to go talk to Israel, only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So if the Father only sent him to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, and he was a faithful son, an obedient son, and him and the Father were one on the same page, as he told you countless times, who was he going to speak to in Samaria? Who were the Samaritans that he was going to speak to? Well, do the math. I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Right? And as an obedient son who obeyed his father, he didn't go to anyone but the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And he says, I must needs go through Samaria because there were lost sheep there of the house of Israel. All right, let's go to Luke 19. We're going to start at verse 1. And Yahawashi entered and passed through Jericho. And behold, there was a man named Zacchaeus, which was the chief among the publicans, and he was rich. Right? The chief among the publicans, and he was rich. And he sought to see Yahawashi, who he was, and could not for the press. There were so many people around, crowding him, because he was little of stature. And he ran before and climbed up into a sycamore tree to see him, for he was to pass that way. And when Yahawashi came to the place, he looked up and saw him and said unto him, Zacchaeus, make haste and come down, for today I must abide at thy house. Now, if you're keeping in mind that he wasn't sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel, you should already know that Zacchaeus is an Israelite. But don't take my word for it. Let's get the context. Verse 6, and he made haste and came down and received him joyfully. And when they saw it, they all murmured, saying that he was gone to be a guest with a man that is a sinner. He's a sinner. If he's a sinner, that means he was an Israelite. How do I know that? Well, what does the scriptures tell us about sin? What is sin? Transgression of the law. Sin is transgression of the law. So only the people who received the law could be a sinner. Only the people who received the law could be sinners. So this man being a sinner is telling you he was an Israelite. And Zacchaeus stood and said unto the Lord, behold, Lord, the half of my goods I give to the poor. And if I have taken anything from any man by false accusation, I restore him fourfold. And Yahawashi said unto him, this day is salvation come to this house. All right. He's talking about the house of Zacchaeus, Zacchaeus' house, right? And then he's going to tell you why. He's telling them that salvation is coming to his house. And then he's going to say why. Because, well, let's just find out why. This day is salvation come to this house, for so much as he also is a son of Abraham. You see that? Because salvation is only for those who are the sons of Abraham. And not just any of the sons of the promise. Remember, Isaac was the son of the promise. Ishmael was the son of the flesh. Isaac was the son that the Most High promised to give to him, and that his blessings would come through Isaac. So even though Ishmael was a son of Abraham, it's not talking about him. And then when you go into the story further, and it talks about the sons of Isaac, who were Jacob and Esau, we know that the blessings would go through Jacob. So it's talking 100% about the blessed line, the blessed seed, the seed of promise. So you know this man has to be an Israelite. And listen how he caps it off. For the Son of Man is come to seek and to save that which was lost. That which was lost. I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. The Son of Man is come to seek and to save that which was lost. And we all know you can't lose something that you never had. You can't lose my pencil. You don't have it. You never had it. You can't lose my car. The only thing that can be lost, a person can lose, is something that they had before. And only the Israelites had a relationship with the Most High. Only the Israelites were called his children, were called his people. So only the Israelites who were of his fold could become lost sheep, could become scattered sheep. And he's telling us that he's come to seek and to save that which was lost, not something new. I didn't come to seek and gather something new. I didn't come to seek and to save something new, someone new, new people. No, I came to seek and to save the people that were lost, those that are mine that I lost, those that went away from me. Making it clear, right? All right, see, that's the words of the king. So no matter what you're reading somewhere else, and you have a misunderstanding about Gentiles and salvation and so forth, all you have to do is show proper respect to the king and lean upon his word above all others. If everybody else is confusing you, if everyone else is leading you to believe this thing or that thing, and you're left in a state of confusion, you go to the highest authority on the matter and you get the matter cleared up. And Yahawashi very plainly clears up the entire matter in plain language. Back to John chapter 4. All right, we're going to pick up from where we left off. So we're going to start at verse 5. Then cometh he to a city of Samaria, which is called Sychar, near to the parcel of ground that Jacob gave to his son Joseph. Now, Jacob's well was there. Yahawashi, therefore, being wearied with his journey, sat thus on the well. And it was about the 6th hour. There cometh a woman of Samaria to draw water. Yahawashi saith unto her, Give me to drink. For his disciples were gone away unto the city to buy meat. Then saith the woman, so his disciples went into the city. Think about this. They went into the city to go buy meat. They must have gone to people who spoke their language, people who they can communicate with when they went into the city to go buy meat. It would make sense that these people were their people. But let's get the word, right? Don't just listen to me. We're going to get the context. we're going to pay very close attention to the context that most Christians miss when they're reading this story or hearing this story. All right. Then saith the woman of Samaria unto him, how is it that thou, being a Jew, askest drink of me, which am a woman of Samaria? For the Jews have no dealings with the Samaritans. So she's making a distinction between herself and the Jews, letting you know that she's not a Judite. But here's the trick. Here's the catch, Christians. Just because she's not a Judite doesn't mean she's not an Israelite. Judah is just one tribe of the 12. All right. But in a broader sense, the house of Judah is just 2.5 tribes. Well, really call it 3. Because let's call it 3, because we're speaking of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. And sometimes we call it half because we know that once upon a time, the Levites were scattered into all of the different tribes of Israel. But once the northern kingdom Israelites were severed and separated from the Most High God, and they were sent away and forced to discontinue from their heritage, I believe it to be the case that the Most High withdrew the Levites from among them, because there was no need for the Levites to be among them if the purpose of the Levites was to be in service to the Most High, right? And to carry out his service for the other tribes. He didn't want the northern kingdom tribes to worship him. So it only makes sense that he withdrew the Levites as well. So we're going to say all 3 tribes. We're not going to call it a half like most people do. All right. So she can still be an Israelite, just not of the house of Judah. She can be of the house of Israel, the northern kingdom of Israel. All right. But let's continue. And we know that, before I continue, and we know that the 2 had no dealings with one another, because the Most High told Judah to leave Israel alone, to leave them be, to have no more dealings with them. I'm cutting them off, so I don't want you to have anything more to do with them. That's why the Jews had no dealings with her people. Not because they were non-Israelites, but because of the history of what happened with the northern kingdom of Israel being cut off. Verse 10, Yahawashi answered and said unto her, if thou knewest the gift of the Most High, and who it is that saith to thee, give me to drink, thou wouldest have asked of him, and he would have given thee living water. The woman saith unto him, Sir, thou hast nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. From whence then hast thou that living water? Are you greater than our father Jacob? Ding, 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 ding. All questions and debate stops. She just told you she's of the lineage of Jacob. She is an Israelite. Case closed. No debate. Anyone trying to debate this is of the wicked one, Satan. Art thou greater than our father Jacob, which gave us the well? Plain and simple, right? And drank thereof himself and his children and his cattle? Yahawashi answered and said unto her, whosoever drinketh of this water shall thirst again. But whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst. But the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water springing up into everlasting life. The woman saith unto him, Sir, give me this water, that I thirst not, neither come hither to draw. Yahawashi saith unto her, Go, call thy husband, and come hither. The woman answered and said, I have no husband. Yahawashi said unto her, Thou hast well said, I have no husband. For thou hast had 5 husbands, and he whom thou now hast is not thy husband, and that saidest thou truly. The woman saith unto him, Sir, I perceive that thou art a prophet. Listen, this is for the Christian crowd, the people who like to say, well, yeah, he came to his own people and his own people rejected him. So, they were cast out and thrown away. And then, we become spiritual Israel because we believe in him. Everybody who get to believe in him now, we get to become Israel. If you believe that, what you're saying is that the Father's plan was flawed and he had to adjust his plan. You're saying the Father is not omnipotent, that he didn't really know what was going to happen before it happened. That, yeah, he sent Christ to go to his people, but he didn't know that the people were going to reject him. And again, we got to specify that not 100% of the people rejected him. All right. Many of his people did love him, did believe in him, did follow him. They became disciples and they loved him and they lived and died believing in him and loving him. Contrary to Christian doctrine that says all of Israel, all of Judah, all of Israel denied him and rejected him and persecuted him and hated him and so forth. So all of Israel was replaced. That's what they say. Scriptures doesn't say that. Okay. So, but that's what they say and that's what they believe, right? But how is it that the same God that was taken by surprise seems to know the future? He seems to know the past. He knows what people are going to do, and he knows what people have done. He knew this woman's history, her story, without her having to tell. He knows all this. So you mean the same one who knows all this, he didn't know that he was going to be betrayed, that he was going to be persecuted, that not all of his people was going to accept him? He didn't know that before he came? Of course he knew. Like he said, haven't I chose you 12 and one of you is a devil? He knew that Judas was working for Satan and that he was going to betray him. But he chose him anyway to be one of his 12 because that was part of the plan. The betrayal was part of the plan. You see? Let's continue. Our fathers worship in this mountain. She's talking about the children of Israel, the descendants of Jacob. Our fathers worship in this mountain. And ye say that in Jerusalem is the place where men ought to worship. Yahawashi saith unto her, Woman, believe me, the hour cometh when ye shall neither in this mountain nor yet at Jerusalem worship the Father. Listen, you see that? Saying that these people, who are they worshiping? They're worshiping the Father. So they were disconnected from Judah, but these people were still worshiping the Father. That's who they're worshiping. That's why she's saying, you're not going to worship the Father neither in his mountain nor at Jerusalem. Ye worship, ye know not what. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews. Salvation comes through Judah. You don't know what you worship, but we know what we worship. You don't have the truth. You don't really understand what you're worshiping. You don't understand what the scriptures are talking about. Salvation comes through Judah. But the hour cometh, and now is, when the true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth, for the Father seeketh such to worship him. The Most High is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. The woman saith unto him, Listen, I know that Messiah cometh. How does she know? If she's a Gentile, aka a non-Israelite, how would she know anything about Christ, anything about what the Bible, what the scriptures, what the Old Testament wrote of his coming? She's telling you that she knows full well of what the Old Testament prophesied of him. She's familiar with the Old Testament writings. All right. She's familiar with the prophecies of his coming because she was an Israelite. She wasn't hearing of him for the very first time. Her people had been talking about him and prophesying of him for a long time. She knew all about him. and that the fact that he's supposed to come. The woman said unto him, I knoweth that Messiah is coming, which is called Christ. When he is come, he will tell us all things. So she was aware of him, and they were expecting him because they were Israelites. They had this hope that one day he was going to come. Yahawashi saith unto her, I that speak unto thee am he. And upon this came his disciples and marveled that he talked with the woman. Yet no man said, what seekest thou? Or why talkest thou with her? And, truthfully, I was going to, read all of this, but, there's really no point. There's really no point to make this any longer than it has been already. I can just stop here, so I'm going to stop here. Nothing else that I read is going to make the point better than the stuff that I've already read. If you don't believe or understand with what I've read already, everything else that I read in the rest of this chapter is not going to help you to understand, because the biggest points have been made already. The most obvious things, and all the key things, all the home run hitters have been tossed out already. They've already come out. You've heard them. You've seen them. The point's made. It's very clear. It shouldn't be a point of contention or debate. What are you arguing with? Who are you arguing with? Matter of fact, if you don't believe this, it means you don't hear the truth. Who sent you? Whose spirit do you have? If it's not the spirit of Christ, I'll let you consider what that means. All praise, honor, and glory belongs to the heavenly highest, to our Father, which art in heaven, Abba Yahawah, and to his anointed, our King, Savior, and Redeemer, Hamashiach Yahawashi, the righteous. I'll see you guys on the next one, our power willing, of course. My prayers for you that you are increased in knowledge, wisdom, and understanding today, and that day by day you are made to increase in the fruits of the Spirit. I pray you benefit from this lesson, that your eyes were opened if they were dim, and that if you know somebody, if you know anyone who could benefit from this teaching, be a blessing to them. Each one, reach one. Shalom, y'all.